And it looked like Colin Cowherd has called out the WNBA old guard. Guys, this is a classic one.
Colin Cowherd, he doesn't talk about anything that is not deemed of national interest in some way.
Yes, he did. He called out all those old hacks on national television.
The WNBA spent decades operating in the shadows of major sports leagues, drawing limited media attention and struggling to break through nationally. That changed the moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto the scene. Before she even played a regular season game, Clark had already captured more attention than most WNBA veterans receive in an entire career. On the Ringer podcast, Colin Cowherd acknowledged what many had begun to realize. Clark is different. Known for focusing only on topics with broad national interest, Cowherd compared her appeal to that of the Yankees, Lakers, and Cowboys. In his words, Clark had entered the elite circle of athletes who move the needle. The numbers made it undeniable.
Caitlin Clark moves the needle like those people.
New WNBA fans all over the country, all over the world, has definitely been vindicated by Colin Cowherd.
Her exhibition debut at Iowa pulled in 1.28 million viewers, a staggering figure for a preseason game. Ticket resale prices soared. Indiana Fever merch flew off shelves. Even road games sold out, not for local stars, but for a chance to see Clark. Cowherd framed this as more than a spike in popularity. It was a fundamental shift. The WNBA wasn't asking for attention anymore. It was the attention. But this rise also exposed discomfort inside the league. Rather than celebrate the momentum, some insiders appeared resentful.
And if you take Caitlin Clark out of the WNBA and her team, it's not the same.
This person thinks the league will never succeed because of the gatekeepers in it.
WNBA players weirdly have been fighting growth. Stop fighting the truth. Get out of your own way. It is a bad look. She is a fascinating player.
Cowherd observed that certain voices were more focused on whether Clark had earned the spotlight than on the fact that she was saving the league from obscurity.
The one thing that has caused him to take a second look and talk about a person that really and truly is moving the needle.
His stance was firm. The WNBA is finally being watched, and Caitlin Clark is the reason. Period. Like, subscribe, and comment Needle Mover to show where the future of the WNBA really begins. Caitlin Clark's explosive rise has brought millions of new eyes to the WNBA, but not everyone is celebrating. Colin Cowherd called out a growing divide within the fan base, a wave of longtime supporters resisting the influx of new fans.
They have this gatekeeping mentality. We'll tell you who's great. Colin, I was watching the WNBA long before Caitlin Clark.
Because for the last year and a half, we have been dealing with these harassing, unbelievable, backstabbing, talking-ish fans that is these WNBA old guard fans, bro.
And he's got a little message. He slams the WNBA gatekeepers and how they view fans that did not watch this league beforehand.
On his podcast, Cowherd likened the backlash to indie music fans who turn hostile the moment their favorite act goes mainstream. In the WNBA, that hostility has taken the form of gatekeeping, fans demanding newcomers respect the legends or catch up on decades of league history before embracing Clark's stardom. For Cowherd, that logic is not only flawed, it's damaging. New fans don't owe the league a loyalty test. They don't need to memorize past MVPs or study obscure seasons to validate their support. They're watching because Clark makes the game exciting right now.
It's not my problem your social life was boring. I'm not going to apologize for watching it when it got really interesting.
And the new fans aren't going to apologize for the fact that she's just now bringing us in.
She's filling arenas, hitting impossible shots, and capturing national attention. That's what matters. Instead of welcoming this unprecedented growth, parts of the fan base act like bouncers guarding the sport's entrance. Cowherd warned that this mindset doesn't protect tradition, it stifles expansion. After years of begging for relevance, the WNBA finally has it.
You've heard me say this on this channel. She's the hybrid love child of Larry Bird and Steph Curry with the branding of Jordan. You've heard me say that.
Y'all wanted the league to always be where it's at right now, but y'all never gave it the opportunity to get to where it's at. Now that it's here where everybody always knew that the league could go, now y'all want to be a-holes about the whole situation and not embrace the new fans.
The real question now isn't whether Caitlin Clark deserves the spotlight. It's whether the league and its legacy fans can let go of the past long enough to embrace the future. But the tension didn't stop there, because Cowherd's next take would raise eyebrows across both leagues and fan bases alike. When Colin Cowherd compared Caitlin Clark to Steph Curry, it wasn't hyperbole, it was a clear signal. Just as Curry changed the way the NBA was played and consumed, Clark is redefining what's possible in the WNBA. Her range stretches defenses. Her highlights dominate timelines. And most important, her presence alone draws national viewership to a league that has long struggled to find a mainstream foothold.
She's packing now larger arenas. She's taking and making shots nobody's ever done in the history of the sport. She is Steph Curry.
He got a big voice. She exposed him on a big level.
Cowherd explained that stars like Curry aren't just promoted, they're strategically leveraged. The NBA schedules him on Christmas Day for a reason. He's not just a player, he's a ratings machine. Clark, in his view, is the WNBA's equivalent. The league finally has someone who sells tickets, drives merch, and moves culture. Ignoring that would be a massive misstep. Yet despite her historic draw, the reaction within the league hasn't been all celebration. Instead of rallying around her, some teammates and veterans seem uneasy. The spotlight feels sudden, and for some, unfair. But Cowherd pushed back, saying stardom isn't about tenure, it's about impact. And in Clark's case, that impact is immediate, undeniable, and desperately needed.
It doesn't mean they don't have other really great players, but you get these comets, you get these unique unicorns. That's what she is.
I said this entire league is weird. Players in it trying to be petty and jealous. The fans being downright vicious and ugly.
We have not had anyone big take up and call out these people, man. These people need to get called out right before the season starts.
But the unease wasn't just among fans. Behind the scenes, some WNBA players seem to be struggling with what Clark's sudden dominance means for the league's internal hierarchy. As Caitlin Clark's profile continues to rise, a noticeable chill has developed, not from fans this time, but from inside the league. Colin Cowherd called attention to what many observers have quietly noticed. A segment of WNBA players appears less than thrilled about Clark's dominance. Whether it's cold post-game interviews, downplayed praise, or sideline tension, the response from some veterans has ranged from muted to dismissive. According to Cowherd, this isn't just competitiveness, it's discomfort. The issue, he suggested, is not about Clark's skills, but about what she represents. A massive shift in power, visibility, and narrative. Veterans who've spent years in relative anonymity now watch a rookie dominate headlines, sponsorships, and national airtime. That kind of spotlight can feel unfair, especially in a league where recognition has often lagged behind talent.
Well, Cowherd came out today. He's fully aware, and he's locked in on this Caitlin Clark thing.
The WNBA flew commercial flights. Before she played a game, they went to privatized flights. Okay, that's Caitlin Clark. Only Caitlin Clark.
He does a segment where Colin was wrong and where Colin was right. Colin was 100% right.
Promote it, market it, ride the best wave this league has ever had.
But Cowherd didn't mince words. In his view, the league finally has the star it has always needed, and sidelining her out of envy isn't just petty, it's reckless. Players who feel overshadowed should see opportunity, not competition. The NBA embraced Steph Curry. The WNBA must do the same with Clark, or risk alienating the very audience she's brought in. And while players may be hesitant, the divide among fans is growing louder, especially as the old guard confronts a tidal wave of newcomers reshaping the sport's future.
I've compared the ratings of the last several years to the ratings of last year. It wasn't close.
Caitlin Clark hasn't just transformed the WNBA's visibility, she's redefined who's watching. Colin Cowherd pointed to a staggering stat. Roughly 70% of a league's current audience are new fans. Many were drawn in by Clark's viral moments, deep threes, and electrifying pace.
She is the most valuable league-changing star the WNBA has ever gotten its hands on.
But instead of celebrating the surge, parts of the WNBA community have responded with frustration. Some longtime supporters accuse new fans of being bandwagoners, demanding they study the league's history before embracing its current star. Cowherd rejected that mindset completely. In his view, fandom doesn't require a resume. People watch what excites them, and Clark is doing just that, bringing life to a league many had ignored. Her fans don't need to know who won the 2008 MVP to cheer when she pulls up from the logo.
The WNBA haters, the old fandom, the gatekeepers, as Colin calls them here, are always banging on fans because they don't want to learn the past and the players and the history that came before them.
We didn't get none of that when we came over here to the W. I mean, the first thing people say is, why you here?
They're buying tickets, jerseys, and streaming games in record numbers. That is loyalty, just a newer version of it. The bigger issue, Cowherd argued, is this idea that the WNBA must remain exclusive to stay authentic. But gatekeeping new supporters won't protect the sport, it'll choke it.
My goodness, this was everything, man. Just to hear this and finally have someone in our corner to stand up for us.
A sport that claims to want growth can't punish those responsible for delivery. And while some fans debate legitimacy, WNBA executives are already clear about one thing. Caitlin Clark is the future, and they're building around her now. The internal tension within the WNBA isn't limited to players or longtime fans. It's become a cultural flashpoint across the broader sports community. Colin Cowherd didn't shy away from calling out what he sees as a toxic pattern in women's sports fandom, gatekeeping taken to the extreme. He described a mindset often visible online, where certain groups act as if they own the league, treating the arrival of new fans not as progress, but as intrusion.
They have been on the attack ever since we pulled up in droves.
So there's a lot of reaction coming in from this. I mean, I don't get it. They think they've got ownership of it. No, you don't.
Now, typically in most sports, you know, you get a welcome party. Welcome in. We're all for the love. We all for you being here to help support what is going on.
In some cases, the backlash has turned personal. Newcomers are met with hostility, their motives questioned, their legitimacy challenged. Cowherd compared it to what he's seen in other niche sports like women's soccer, where small but vocal groups use identity and history as a weapon to push outsiders away.
I am so happy and just full of joy that Colin Cowherd went on his podcast and did this today for each and every last one of us casual fans.
Talk regular shit back and forth, but not the insanely personal. I mean, it's wild. It really is.
He warned that this isn't just about personality clashes. It's about sabotaging momentum. Fandom should grow the game, not restrict it. The WNBA is finally reaching millions thanks to players like Clark. Yet some corners of its culture seem more concerned with who deserves to watch than with why people are watching. Cowherd's point was blunt. Keep this attitude up, and all that growth might disappear as fast as it arrived. But while some fans resist the shift, the league's top decision-makers are already adapting by making Clark the centerpiece of their future plans.
And the truth finally came out. Caitlin Clark voted on by general managers, the best point guard, the best shooting guard, and the singular player they would start the franchise with.
If I found out my GM didn't pick her as their number one spot for starting a franchise, she'd be gone, because I don't want you evaluating talent or stardom. I don't want you evaluating that.
While debate rages online, WNBA general managers are moving with clarity. In a recent league-wide survey asking which player they'd choose to build a franchise around, Caitlin Clark came out on top, receiving 50% of the votes, despite being a rookie. Notably, Indiana's GM, who drafted her, wasn't even allowed to vote. For Colin Cowherd, this wasn't just a stat, it was a statement. The league's top evaluators aren't caught up in emotional debates or legacy politics. They're focused on results.
The GMs are like, yep, that's who you'd start the franchises with. That's the best point guard. That's the best shooting guard. That's the best thing we have.
And Clark, even before her regular season debut, was already the most valuable building block in the league. Cowherd argued that any executive passing on Clark simply doesn't understand where the sport is headed. She's not just a scorer, she's a draw. She changes attendance, boosts ratings, and drives headlines. From a basketball and business standpoint, she checks every box. It's rare for a rookie to command this kind of trust, but Clark's impact is undeniable.
It's been obvious for everybody except a big chunk of WNBA players.
The GMs are showing what many players and fans haven't yet accepted. The WNBA's future isn't just coming, it's already here, and it's wearing number 22. Still, even with executive backing and nationwide momentum, parts of the league continue to hesitate, raising one lingering question. Why is embracing Clark so hard for some? Caitlin Clark's rise isn't just a moment, it's a turning point. Colin Cowherd framed it as a choice the WNBA must now face. Evolve or get left behind. The league has spent decades chasing mainstream relevance. Now, with Clark at the center of a media and fan frenzy, that relevance is finally here. The challenge: not everyone inside the system is ready to accept what it means. Cowherd's warning was Clark isn't just a standout rookie. She's the league's best chance at sustained national attention. Stars like Steph Curry and Serena Williams didn't just play well, they shifted culture. Clark has that same gravitational pull. Ignoring her rise or trying to equalize the spotlight risks squandering the most significant surge in WNBA history. This doesn't mean abandoning the past past or discrediting veterans. It means recognizing that true growth often comes from disruption. Clark isn't erasing the league's foundation, she's elevating. And the longer the WNBA hesitates to fully embrace her, the greater the risk that this moment slips away.